Hi guys. So we're gonna begin. The first share is gonna be just a review. We finished now the 5 shuirim that are the main shuirim on Borer, and from here we're gonna shoot out to dealing with the halacha l'maisa from us. Before we shoot out the halacha l'maisa, which will happen next week in Meretz Hashem, is I want to go into make sure that we have what the Gemara says very clearly. So with the 7th graders, you guys, I started this a lot with you. We didn't finish it, but we started it. And 8th graders, but you I think you totally missed this. So it was the day that you were out. So we made a review. I want to show it to you over here. Okay, here, let's go. We learned all together a total of 5 shurim. What's going on is, the first thing to realize is that we had, was it backwards in the video? No, okay. The first thing to realize is that we had the way to start off is that we're explaining a breita. The breita said, there was a very unclear breita. It said you could do borer and eat, or you could do borer and leave over for somebody else to eat. And then it said, you can't do borer, and if you do borer, you're chayiv chatas. You're chayiv to bring a carbon. So the question is that it says in the words you're allowed to do borer, and it says you're not allowed to do borer. So the Gemara understands, the Brisa is telling us that there are different situations. There's a time that you're allowed, and there's a time that you're not allowed. Or really we're going to see a way that you're allowed, and a way that you're not allowed. So let us see. I have over here the 5 shurim all broken up. You see shir Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. And to me it looks backwards. I hope that's not how it looks to you. Okay. So the way I set this up is that we're going to explain how each shir explained the part of the brisa that says you're allowed. There's going to be 5 situations of when you're allowed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And then there's 5 situations when you're not allowed. These 5. The first 4 explanations of the brisa are going to be attacked, and that's why we're going to come on to a 5th explanation of the brisa. So the attacks I have listed over here. There's an arrow going up because this is shir bet's attack on shir aleph. So it goes up to over here. This is the attack. This is why over here. This is why this shot the Gemara does not accept. So here we go. In shir aleph, we explain the brisa is that if it's for Shabbos, then you're allowed. If it's not for Shabbos, then you're not allowed to do borer. The attack on that was very simply that all malacha is not allowed when it's for Shabbos. What is this idea of that if it's for Shabbos, it's okay? Why would borer, sorting, be different than every other malacha? You're not allowed to cook on Shabbos, says the Gemara. So the Gemara therefore goes down to shir bet and explains another option. That what does it mean when it says you're allowed? It's less than the shir. So we explain the idea of a shir is that there's a certain amount that you're allowed to, in order to be chayiv on breaking in averos, many different averos, it requires to not do it somewhat, but to do it a lot. For example, in eating, it's usually a kezayit. So in borer, it would be, I think it's a rogeret, it's different amounts, and so if it's less than the shear, it's allowed. But if you're going to do the shear or more, what's not allowed is more than the shear. That's what's not allowed. So that's shear bet, how they explain the brisa. The attack on that of shear gimel is that all over we should know that a shear is only a question about whether or not you are chayiv to bring a carbon or to get a punishment. But it's an avera even less than that. For example, you're not allowed to bake, says the Gemara. You want to bake a little bit. You're not allowed to bake at all on Shabbos. So why would borer be any different? That doesn't make any sense. 3. So we go on to shir gimel. Shir gimel says that what is allowed is when you are using, what's allowed is when you use a sorter. When you use, when you don't use a sorter, when you use just your hands. So you do it in the way of eating. You're not like doing a commercial sorting. You're not coming to sort. You're just eating. And that type of eating is not, when you do it with eating, it's not a problem. So with your hand, it's not a problem. We also said, because of Ruvain's question, I think it was Ruvain's, maybe it wasn't, maybe actually. Anyway, that it's not only a a hand, but it's something that you could use in place of your hand. For example, if I just don't want to get my hand dirty, so I use a fork or a knife, that would also be allowed. So that's also fine. But what's not allowed is, so the Gemara says over here, it actually breaks this up. There's certain things which are not allowed, but they're pater. And then there's certain things which are not allowed and you're chayiv chatas. So let's go to the most extreme. If the object that you're using to sort is a sorter, it's something that's made to sort. For example, a sieve, which is made to drain the bad. You don't want the water, you want the noodles inside, for example. It's made to drain, it's made to sort. So to use a sieve on Shabbos, that would be chayiv chatas. But if it's something which is useful for sorting, but it's not made for sorting, then it's aser, but it's not chayiv. Says the Gemara that here also we have an attack. So now we move down to Shir Dalet already. Shir Dalet's attack on that is that the Brisa, now this one is important. It's only an attack from the words of the Brisa. The Brisa says, doesn't mention anything about sorting or not sorting with a sorters or hands or anything like that. So it doesn't make sense that the Brisa would communicate to us this idea of needing to use a sorter by telling us that you're not allowed to use a sorting. You have to use your hand by just saying there's a time that you're allowed to do borrow and there's a time you're not allowed to do borrow. That's leaving out some very important information. So therefore the Brisa gets rid of that as well, and we go on to Shir Daled's explanation for the Brisa, which is that food from waste is allowed. Again, that's the way that people eat. People eat by taking away the food. They want food. You're taking away what you want and you're putting it into your mouth. So that has the appearance of eating, not of sorting. As opposed to what's not allowed is waste from the food. If you're pulling out the bad from the good, that would be a problem. But on that too, we have Shir Hay's attack on Shir Dalet. It says, one second, that too, the Brisa doesn't say anything about. The Brisa over here, Shir Hay's attack on Shir Dalet, is that the Brisa says nothing about waste from food or food from waste. So to say that that's what the Brisa means to tell us is not so logical. So finally, Abaye, also known as Nachmani, he says that, you know what it is about? It's about time. Time is it's not an item. It's not a way to do it. It's just a difference in time. And that's what the Brisa is coming to tell us. That if it's for immediate usage, then you're allowed to pick it up and eat it. You're allowed to take it and sort. Because you're not doing it for a commercial thing. You're not making an assortment of things. You're just taking what you want right away. So if you're going to take it and use it right away, then it doesn't look like sorting. But if you are going to do it for anything more than immediate usage, that's a problem. That already is going to be chayiv chatas. Okay. So so far we had 5 shurim, and what I want you to know is that if you go through the 3 shurim, I want to know if you're going to notice the words, if the attack was on the logic of the halacha, or was the attack just that it can't be the explanation of the Braita? My whole problem with what you say is because there's a problem that it doesn't make sense to say that that's what the Braita means, then we're actually that means that we're going to accept that we don't have a problem what your halacha is. So we're going to accept your halacha. That we're us. What do I mean? Me and you. We're going to actually work with this in our lives. So some of the attacks over here, the first 2 attacks on Shir Aleph and Shir Bet, the attacks were that your halacha doesn't make any sense. That, what do you mean, less than a shir? No, less than a shir is also naveir. That's not true. That less than a shir is allowed, or that you're allowed to do it for Shabbos. That's not true. You're not allowed to do it for Shabbos. That was the type of attack. But on this attack on Shir Gimel and Dalid, already the attack was only Brisa. That doesn't make any sense. And so it doesn't make sense to say that that's what the Brisa means. But what you're telling me, the halacha that you're telling me, that we are going to accept. So that was a total of 3. We ended with we have a halacha that you're allowed. We hold like this. In order to do borer, you're going to need 3 requirements. Number 1, you're going to need to use your hand. Number 2, you're going to need to do it the good from the bad, the food from the waste. You can't be taking out the bad from the good. And number 3, it must be for immediate usage. Easy way to remember, it's biyad is on the hand. Miyad means immediately, and the good from the bad, the food from the waste. And that's what I would like you to know for right now.